This party is gonna be her last on Earth. She's old enough to go. That's what I heard my daughter-in-law whisper about me. Those words, they cut through me like ice water in my veins. I was halfway out the door, coat in my hands, ready for the dinner she said she planned to celebrate me. Celebrate me. What a goddamn lie that turned out to be. Then my phone buzzed. That little sound that changed everything. My son's message, Mom. Call me now. Don't go there. My heart stopped. I mean, it literally stopped beating for what felt like an eternity. My hands started shaking so bad I could barely hold the phone. What could make my own son sound that terrified? What could make him type in all caps like that? What he showed me made me drop my keys right there on the front porch. The dinner wasn't a celebration. It was a setup to take everything I owned. Everything my husband and I worked 53 years to build. Everything we saved. Everything we sacrificed for. Everything we wanted to leave for our family. But before the night ended, I turned her trap into my proof. Before I tell you how my son saved my life and how I exposed the woman who wanted me gone, please like this video, subscribe, and comment where you're watching from. Stories like this are happening to families every day. Every single day, somewhere, a mother is being betrayed by someone she trusted with her whole heart. You know, that morning started so peacefully. I was sitting in my kitchen, wrapping a gift for her birthday next week. I'd picked out these beautiful pearl earrings that reminded me of the ones my own mother used to wear. I was humming while I tied the ribbon, thinking about how lucky I was. How blessed I felt to have a son who made me proud and a daughter-in-law who called me Mom. I had no idea that same voice was planning my last dinner. God, how naive I was. Looking back at all those family photos scattered on my mantle, her smiling at our Christmas dinners, laughing at my husband's terrible jokes before he passed, crying real tears at his funeral while she held my hand. Was any of it real? Any of it at all? I remember my son's wedding day. She walked up to me in that gorgeous white dress and said, "Thank you for raising such an amazing man. I promise I'll take care of him." And then she hugged me so tight, and I whispered back, "Welcome to the family, sweetheart. Welcome to the family." Jesus Christ, what a fool I was. For 6 years, I thought I was the luckiest mother alive. A son who called me every Sunday, visited every holiday, never forgot my birthday. A daughter-in-law who invited me to girls' nights, asked for my recipes, told me stories about her day. When I fell and hurt my hip last winter, she was the one who stayed with me for a week, helping me walk to the bathroom, making me soup, sleeping on my couch so I wouldn't be scared at night. That's what makes this hurt so much. It wasn't just betrayal. It was betrayal from someone who held my hand when I was vulnerable. Someone who saw me at my weakest and pretended to care. The phone call came at exactly 6:47 p.m. I know because I was staring at the clock, wondering if I should leave a few minutes early to avoid traffic. My son's ringtone, that silly song he picked because it reminded him of when he was little, started playing. But when I answered, his voice was wrong. All wrong. "Mom," he said, and I could hear him breathing hard like he'd been running. "Mom, you can't go. Please, just stay home." "What are you talking about, honey?" "The dinner's in 20 minutes. Your wife will be expecting me." "No, Mom, listen to me. You cannot go to that restaurant. Promise me. Promise me right now you won't leave the house." My stomach dropped. You know that feeling when you're in an elevator and it stops too fast? That's what happened to my entire body. "David, what's wrong? You're scaring me. I'm coming over. Don't move. Don't answer the door for anyone except me. And Mom." His voice cracked. My grown son's voice actually cracked like he was 12 years old again. "I'm so sorry. I'm so fucking sorry, I didn't know." He hung up. I stood there in my foyer, still holding my purse, still wearing my good coat, staring at that silent phone like it might explain what the hell just happened. 26 minutes. That's how long I stood there before I heard his car in my driveway. When David walked through my front door, he looked like he'd aged 10 years since I saw him last week. His face was pale, his eyes were red, and his hands were shaking worse than mine had been. "Sit down, Mom." "I don't want to sit down. I want to know what's going on." "Sit down." So I sat. On the same couch where I used to read him bedtime stories, where we watched cartoons on Saturday mornings after his father made pancakes, where he told me he was getting married and I cried happy tears. He pulled out his phone and started scrolling. "I came home early from work today." She didn't know I was there. I heard her on the phone in our bedroom, so I went upstairs to say hello, and she was. His voice broke. My son, my strong, successful son who'd never let me see him cry since he was 16, had tears streaming down his face. She was talking to her friend Monica. And Mom, the things she said, the things they were planning. He turned his phone toward me. Screenshots of text messages filled the screen. Messages between my daughter-in-law and her friend. Messages that made my blood freeze. "Tonight's the night. The old bitch finally signs the papers. Are you sure she'll do it? She trusts me completely. She's so desperate for family approval, she'll sign anything I put in front of her. What if she reads it first? She won't. I'll tell her it's just a guest list for the party. By the time she realizes what she signed, it'll be too late. LOL, you're evil. But smart. How much do you think the house is worth? At least $800K. Plus her savings, her jewelry, everything. She's old enough to go anyway. This just speeds up the process. Brutal. I love it. I couldn't breathe. Literally could not get air into my lungs. These words, these horrible, cold, calculating words, were from the woman who'd called me Mom for 6 years. The woman I'd trusted with my son's heart, with my family's future. But David wasn't done. He kept scrolling, showing me more messages, each one worse than the last. The best part is, once she signs the power of attorney, I can have her declared mentally incompetent. I already talked to that doctor friend of Monica's. He'll say whatever I need him to say. What about David? Won't he fight it? David's a mama's boy, but he's not stupid. Once I explain how much money we're talking about, he'll see reason. And if he doesn't, well, I'll make sure he understands that fighting me means losing me. My son was sobbing now. Full-on sobbing like his heart was breaking, and mine was breaking right along with it. Mom, I swear to God, I had no idea. I thought she loved you. I thought she loved us. But she's been planning this for months. Maybe longer. He showed me more evidence. Bank statements he'd found hidden in her car. Property transfer documents with forged signatures, my signature, supposedly, though I'd never seen these papers in my life. Medical reports claiming I was suffering from dementia and couldn't make my own decisions. Reports from a doctor I'd never met, about appointments I'd never had. She'd been building a case to steal my life, piece by piece, document by document. I wasn't dying, I whispered, staring at those fake medical reports. But they were planning to bury me alive in paperwork. The cruelest part? I'd actually started questioning myself these past few months. Little things, forgetting where I put my keys, mixing up appointments, losing track of conversations. I thought maybe I was starting to slip, the way my mother did before she passed. But now I realized what was really happening. She'd been moving my things, changing my appointments without telling me, interrupting me when I talked so I'd lose my train of thought. She was making me feel confused and forgetful on purpose, so when the time came, her lies would seem believable. David, I said, and my voice sounded like it was coming from someone else's throat. How long has she been doing this? How long have I been living with someone who wanted me gone? He couldn't answer. He just held my hands and cried. I sat there in my living room, surrounded by decades of family photos, and I remembered my husband's voice. Frank always knew how to spot fake people. Protect your legacy, love, he used to say. People change when money enters the room. Even good people can turn greedy when they think no one's watching. I thought he was being cynical. I thought he was just bitter because he grew up poor and never quite trusted anyone with money. But Frank was right. Frank was always right about people. I stood up slowly, walked to the window, and looked out at the neighborhood where I'd lived for 38 years. The house where I brought my baby home from the hospital, where I nursed my husband through cancer, where I thought I'd live until I died peacefully in my own bed. She wanted to take that from me. Not just the house, but my dignity, my independence, my right to make my own choices about my own life. Then I felt something I hadn't felt since Frank died. Pure, clean anger. If she thought I'd die silent, I said, turning back to my son, she forgot who raised you. I picked up my phone and dialed my lawyer's number. Jonathan had handled our family's legal matters for 20 years. He'd helped us write our wills, handled the paperwork when Frank died, guided me through the maze of insurance and estate issues. If anyone could help me protect myself, it was him. Jonathan, it's Margaret Henderson. I need to see you tomorrow morning. First thing. Is everything all right, Margaret? No, it's not. Someone's trying to steal my life, and I need to make sure they can't. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about all the signs I'd missed, all the red flags I'd ignored, because I wanted so badly to believe I had a loving family. The way she always offered to handle my paperwork. Don't worry about it, Mom. I'll take care of the insurance stuff. The way she insisted on coming to my doctor's appointments. You shouldn't have to go alone. The way she gradually started answering questions for me, speaking over me, treating me like I was already incompetent. I thought she was being helpful. I thought she cared. But every kindness had been calculated. Every gesture of love was really a step in her plan to convince the world I couldn't take care of myself. The next morning, David came back to my house with a bag full of equipment. Security cameras, recording devices, everything we needed to document what she was really doing. We're going to get her, Mom. We're going to get proof of everything. My son, my beautiful, loyal son, spent the next 2 weeks helping me gather evidence. He secretly recorded phone calls between his wife and her friends. He photographed documents she thought he couldn't see. He tracked her movements, her meetings with lawyers and doctors who were helping her build her fraudulent case against me. The recordings were the worst part. Listening to her voice, that voice that had called me Mom, that had told me bedtime stories when I was sick, planning my destruction like she was organizing a dinner party. Once she signs the power of attorney tomorrow night, we can start the process, she told Monica during one call. I already have the facility picked out. It's one of those places where they pump them full of drugs to keep them quiet. She won't even remember her own name after a few months. What about her jewelry? That diamond ring of hers must be worth a fortune. I'll tell David it got lost during the move. He won't question it. He still thinks I'm the grieving daughter-in-law who just wants what's best for his poor, confused mother. She laughed. She actually laughed while talking about drugging me into oblivion and stealing my wedding ring. She was planning my exit, I told David after we listened to that recording. I was planning my proof. 2 days before the dinner, I put on my best dress, my pearls, my wedding ring, and I went to see Jonathan. I brought David with me, and we played every recording, showed every document, laid out the entire conspiracy. Jonathan's face grew darker with each piece of evidence. By the time we finished, he was furious. Margaret, this is elder abuse. This is fraud. This is conspiracy. We're not just going to stop her, we're going to destroy her. We planned everything carefully. The dinner was supposed to happen at Romano's, the same restaurant where David had proposed to her. She'd reserved the back room, invited a few witnesses who she claimed were there to celebrate my birthday. In reality, they were there to watch me sign away my life. But we had our own plan. I arrived at the restaurant exactly on time, walking slowly with my cane, playing the part of the confused old woman she expected to see. She rushed over to greet me, all smiles and fake warmth. Happy birthday, Mom. Are you excited for your special night? It wasn't my birthday. It was 3 months away. But she figured I was too senile to remember. Oh yes, dear. Thank you for planning this lovely party. The room was full of people I didn't recognize. Her friends, mostly people who were there to witness my voluntary signature on documents that would steal everything I owned. She guided me to a table covered with papers. "Before we eat, Mom, could you just sign a few things? Guest lists, nothing important." I picked up the pen with shaking hands and leaned over to read the first document. It was exactly what David had warned me about, a comprehensive power of attorney that would give her control over my finances, my property, my medical decisions. Everything. The second document was even worse. A statement declaring that I was no longer mentally competent to make my own decisions and requesting that the court appoint her as my legal guardian. I looked up at her sweet, lying face and smiled. "Guest lists, you said?" "That's right, just routine paperwork. Nothing to worry about." I set down the pen and reached into my purse. Instead of signing, I pulled out my phone and pressed play on a recording. Her own voice filled the room. "She's so desperate for family approval, she'll sign anything I put in front of her. The old bitch will never know what hit her." The color drained from her face. Around us, her friends started looking uncomfortable, shifting in their seats, whispering to each other. "What is this?" she stammered. "This is you," I said, my voice growing stronger with every word. "This is you planning to steal my house, my money, my life. This is you laughing about putting me in a facility and drugging me into oblivion." I played another recording. This time, it was her conversation about forging my medical records, about bribing a doctor to declare me incompetent. The room was dead silent now. Even her friends were staring at her in horror. "Mom, this isn't. I mean, you're confused. You don't understand what you're hearing." "I understand perfectly." I stood up, no longer playing the frail old woman. "I understand that you've been planning this for months. I understand that you moved my things to make me feel crazy. I understand that you changed my appointments and interrupted my conversations to make me seem forgetful. I understand that every kindness you showed me was just another step in your plan to destroy me." That's when David walked in with Jonathan and 2 police officers. Sarah Henderson, one of the officers, said, "You're under arrest for attempted elder abuse, fraud, and conspiracy to commit theft." She looked at my son with desperate eyes. "David, please. You have to know I love you. I love both of you. This is all a misunderstanding." But David just stared at her like he was seeing a stranger. Because that's what she was. That's what she'd always been. As they put handcuffs on her wrists, she started crying. Real tears this time, not the crocodile tears she'd used to manipulate us for years. "Please," she begged me. "I'm sorry. I was desperate. I have debts you don't know about. I needed the money. But I never would have actually hurt you." "You already did hurt me," I told her. "You hurt me every day for 6 years. You made me doubt myself, question my own mind, feel like a burden on my own family. You planned to steal my independence and lock me away to die alone and forgotten. That's not desperation, that's evil." The legal process took 8 months. During that time, more evidence came out. She'd done this before, to her own grandmother, successfully stealing nearly $200,000 before the old woman died in a state facility, alone and penniless. She'd targeted my son specifically because she knew he had a wealthy mother. Our entire relationship had been a lie. She'd never loved him, never loved me, never cared about our family except as a source of money. David divorced her while she was in jail awaiting trial. The court ruled that all her actions constituted elder abuse and attempted fraud. She was sentenced to 5 years in prison and ordered to pay restitution for the emotional damage she caused. But the money didn't matter. What mattered was that I got my voice back. My power back. My life back. I didn't lose everything that night. I found my voice and the truth. Now, 18 months later, I'm still in my house. Still making my own decisions. Still living my life on my own terms. David comes by every Sunday, and we talk about everything except her. We're healing slowly but surely. I've started volunteering with a support group for seniors who've experienced financial abuse. You'd be amazed how common this is. How many families are torn apart by greed? How many elderly people lose everything because they trusted the wrong person? But I also learned something else. I learned that family isn't always blood. Jonathan, my lawyer, checks on me regularly now. Mrs. Patterson from next door brings me soup when I'm sick. David's new girlfriend, yes, he's dating again, treats me with genuine kindness, no ulterior motives. These people, they're my real family now. They're the ones who protect my heart instead of trying to exploit it. Family can turn into strangers, and I learned that the hard way. But strangers can become your family again if you're open to it. Betrayal hurts like hell, cuts deeper than any knife, leaves scars that never fully heal. But silence hurts worse. If I'd stayed silent, if I'd just accepted her treatment and signed those papers, I'd be in some facility right now, drugged and forgotten, while she lived in my house and spent my money. If someone tries to take your peace, protect it. Fight for it. Even if they share your last name, even if you love them, even if fighting back feels impossible. Your life, your dignity, your independence, these things are worth defending. I wear my wedding ring every day now, the same ring she planned to steal and claim was lost. When I look at it, I don't just remember Frank. I remember that I'm stronger than I knew. That I survived her trap. That I turned her weapon against me into the weapon that saved me. Family isn't who shares your blood, it's who protects your heart. And sometimes, protecting your heart means fighting the people who are supposed to love you most. If this story touched you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment where you're watching from. Someone out there needs to see this warning. Someone out there is living with a person who's planning their destruction, and maybe, just maybe, my story can help them find their voice before it's too late. Because here's what I want you to remember, you're never too old to fight back. You're never too vulnerable to demand respect. And you're never too isolated to find people who will stand with you when the people you trusted turn against you. Trust your instincts. Question sudden changes. Don't sign anything you haven't read carefully. And most importantly, never let anyone convince you that you're too confused, too old, or too weak to make your own decisions about your own life. Your voice matters. Your life matters. And no one has the right to take that away from you. Not even family.